Hi, everybody!
Hey!
This is Allison Gross and Marquis Forneus, and we're back with our podcast thingy that we now do. Today we're going to talk about the concept of hardcoreness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, yeah. Yeah.
So, this has been my eternal problem in life, or one of them. Is that I'm into a lot of things, but I'm never considered hardcore enough by the other people who are into those things. I think a perfect opener would be talking about that quiz thing that we saw yesterday about anime.
Oh, yes! Anime, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here's one thing with a hardcore moniker does not apply to me.
The hardcore moniker doesn't apply to you pretty much anywhere.
Well, maybe with gaming.
No, it doesn't, trust me.
Why not?
Because, okay, so first of all, you like playing fun, like, sort of alternative-y games, and you're not, like, ultra-competitive about things.
Oh, I can be. Don't you remember League of Legends?
No, you were very, very kind during League of Legends. Are you kidding me? Even on your worst days, you were, like, super kind compared to other gamers that I've interacted with.
Okay, if you say so.
Like, the thing is that even if you might forget occasionally, you can control yourself. Hardcore gamers can't, and more importantly, don't want to control themselves.
Yeah. So yeah, the anime quiz. Now, we're both, like, fans of anime, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan. I turned her into a fan of anime.
I mean, I wanted to be turned into a fan of anime. I
Just was never shown the right anime. You're always shown the hardcore anime first.
Yeah, I asked a friend of mine in high school, like, who liked anime. I was like, hey, can you lend me some anime because I want to get into it? And so, never watched any anime before. He lent me the subbed End of Evangelion movie.
That is, like, the Japanese version.
Yeah.
So, never having watched the actual series before.
Yes. And, yeah, after that I was kind of like, you know what, maybe not.
Yeah.
So, can you please stop twirling that metal thing near me? I really don't.
Okay.
So yeah, this quiz basically, it was how much do you like anime?
Yeah, because we need a quiz to tell us that.
Okay, whatever. I was taking quizzes because... Okay, well, so Runding asked me to give him some sites that possibly had better quality quizzes, which I don't know if these actually had better quality quizzes.
They had funnier quizzes.
Okay, that Are You a Lesbian quiz was pretty freaking funny. But, so I basically sent him the address of every quiz site I could find, but of course, me being me, I got distracted and started taking a bunch of the quizzes, so we stumbled on this one that was like, are you an anime fan, or
You
something.
never told me how pure your quiz went.
Oh, I was 61% pure. Which...
Sure.
What?
Nothing.
What
Continuing on.
You think that that's too high, too low?
Continuing on.
You know, you can't just bring this up and not talk about it.
Yes, I can.
Wow, you're a dick. Whatever. So this quiz was basically asking how, like, it wasn't do you like anime, the quiz was really are you, like, a rabid, mouth-frothing weeaboo?
Yeah. With questions such as, do you watch subs?
And one of the answers being everyone who doesn't watch subs should die, essentially.
Yeah.
And
Because, especially nowadays when, like, the dubbing has gotten really good, like, what's the point?
Well, I have my own reasons why I...
They're basically one of the same reasons as mine, but yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, even when we're watching older shows, it isn't that much of a problem, is it?
No, I don't care. Well, unless you're watching Black Bible.
Well, that was a whole special something.
And that was very special. And it kept asking, like, do you think in Japanese?
It's just like, oh god.
You know, and it had questions like, you know, oh, have you ever fallen in love with a character from an anime? And if you said yes to that, it means you've definitely watched anime. You know, you would have had to have watched anime to be able to answer yes to that question. And yet, at the end, what came up for us was, well, you probably just haven't watched any anime, so you don't actually know what it's all about, but you've got it set in your mind that you won't like it, so you refuse to watch it.
Yeah.
Like, that's literally what it said for the result, even though there were answers that clearly you had to have watched anime. And even, like, you know, the question, how do you feel about dubbed anime? That's like, oh yeah, I'm totally fine with it. That means you're watching it.
Yeah.
So, this is a thing where there's this tendency in many communities to consider that if you're not extreme hardcore, you're not really a member of the community, which is why I've spent most of my life feeling isolated, probably.
Yeah.
And this is definitely a big thing in the gaming community.
And the... Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's definitely...
And it's definitely not unique to the gaming community either.
Oh, no, of course not.
You know, talk about your experiences in the pagan community.
Well, we'll get to that in a second. I actually
Okay.
wanted to bring up our experience in our D&D group.
Oh, god, yeah, no.
That's a hardcore thing. That's definitely a hardcore thing.
Fuck that.
That during our Dungeons and Dragons game, we were having a little problem. Actually, it wasn't us that brought it up, but somebody else brought it up, that there was a massive power imbalance between characters.
We'll call the person who's making the power imbalance Mr. Catman.
Yes, Mr. Catman created a character that could basically one-shot pretty much everything in the campaign.
Yeah. And the DM, like, for this campaign wasn't that experienced. She's, like, a friend of ours.
But, well, the other thing is that she's married to, we'll call him Mr. Rules Lawyer.
Yeah. Who is kind of, like, halfway the problem. Hasn't made a completely broken, overpowered character.
Okay, his character's not that broken, but...
Yeah. It's useful in very certain situations.
But the point is that the DM has learned to play a very straight game and follow the rules very closely and doesn't fudge things very much in order to make the game better. Because she's married to Mr. Rules Lawyer, I mean...
Who will chuck a fit.
Yes. But anyway, so yeah, Mr. Catman was going around one-shotting everything. And then there was a bunch of us who either are not very experienced players or people like me who was playing a spellcaster for the first time ever. So, and playing spellcasters is challenging, because actually all three of us, both of us and the other girl, the druid, are all playing spellcasters.
Yeah.
So, the problem with that is that spellcasters, not only is it harder to learn how to play a spellcaster, but spellcasters take time. In that you usually need a round or two to start getting on.
Yeah, and he kills everything in round 1.
Exactly.
Especially because you're a witch, where you mostly have debuffs rather than...
Yeah. Well, or the other thing that I do is I summon things, which takes an extra round to summon things.
Yeah.
So
and I'm a healer, so...
Exactly.
Oh, what do I need to heal? He just kills everything.
And the other character... The other character is also just a healer, basically, so...
What,
the other
druid?
cleric.
Oh yeah, the other cleric, yeah. Who isn't a problem despite being friends with Mr. Catman.
Yeah, despite being the employee of Mr. Catman.
Oh, is he? I didn't know that.
Yeah, in real life he's his employee. He's part of his business.
Okay.
Anyway, So everybody else was getting really frustrated because none of us got to do anything because Mr. Catman was one-shotting everything.
Yeah, it basically exploded the point he killed this, like, really super boss character.
Yeah, and the DM was getting upset too because... And the thing is that the rest of us were being all smart because we're expecting the fights to be challenging, so we're trying to buff ourselves ahead of time and everything.
And he just instantly kills everything, making us all our preparation worthless.
Yes. So, the way that this relates into hardcore things is, so we were having a little discussion about this, and Mr. Rules lawyer, I mean, he was trying to help with the problem, but he basically presented this as dividing us, basically dividing the room in half into high system mastery and low system mastery players.
Despite the fact with pretty much all of my Neverwinter Nights experience, I'm really good, really good at system mastery when I want to. But I don't want to make a stupid, overpowered character. I want to roleplay. That's why I'm playing Dungeons & Dragons and not Neverwinter Nights.
Right, and that's why I chose to play this, to play a spellcaster for the first time, because I wanted to try something I'd never done. And sure, I could have, made a much more powerful character if I had gone with the type of character I usually play, but I wanted to do something different. So
and this is my first time playing Dungeons & Dragons, too.
Yeah. Just the sort of attitude that, and it wasn't even just that he did that. The thing that really annoyed me was he was like, well, you guys will never reach the level of system mastery that Mr. Catman has.
Wait, what? He said that?
Yes.
Oh, now I'm even more pissed at him.
Yes, so...
Put that on top of the pile of the other things I'm pissed at him for.
Yes, well... But so it's this idea that it's like, even in a game like that where you're playing cooperatively, there's this sense that it's like, well, we're better at this than you are.
Yeah, I really think the DM should just do what I keep suggesting and do some kind of supernatural curse on him.
She turned him into a black cat because... Oh, God.
That's right, he took the black cat feat.
Yeah, he took the black cat feat, which is like... He causes bad luck to befall his opponents because
He hates taking damage. He will chuck a fit over a point of damage.
I've witnessed this before. But and he will pull out every minuscule detail of high system mastery and fight over it. So one of the things relating back to what we were talking about last week about women in games, or not women players of games.
Yeah.
That I feel one of the barriers to their being accepted is the obsession with hardcoreness.
Kind of the same with comics, come to think of it.
Oh, like that.
Well, it's basically there is no casual comic market.
Right.
It's either you've got to absorb 50 years of history instantly to understand anything that's going on.
And I've noticed that, well, it is not even casual, I'm really into the things I'm into, but it doesn't express itself in the same way that, hardcoreness does, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm really into tabletop gaming, but I like role-playing. I mean, I like being clever and stuff, but playing a broken character would not be fun for me. It just wouldn't.
Yeah.
And it's the same way with video games.
Which is why, if I was to play a non-cleric character, I'd always go for an illusionist. Because that's fun and interesting, and you can do all these clever things.
You can make broken illusionists. I'm sure there are ways you can do it, at least in some systems.
Oh, I'm sure there are, but I mean, doing illusions, in the middle of the battle and having the DM come up with what they'll do. How they'll affect things.
Yeah, and when I play Warcraft, I mean, yes, I was proud of the fact that our guild was the top the top guild on the server, like we had the best rating progression on the server. And before you get excited about that or like get impressed, it was an RP server, so
Whatever that means.
it's a roleplay server, which means that it's not for quote quote hardcore people.
Okay.
I was proud of that, and I really liked going and accomplishing things during raids, but it was because I enjoyed teamwork and I enjoyed being with my friends and stuff. And, so there's just this part of mentality of hardcoreness that I just can't relate to.
Yeah.
But it also extends into other things. You were talking about hardcoreness in the pagan community.
Yeah, you know more about that.
Well, yeah, a bit more. You've been exposed to a lot of it, though. The people being more dark and edgy.
Yeah.
That, like, these are people who kind of play into the stereotype, the witchy stereotype. That they're much more into, like, say, doing spells and stuff than they are about being in communion with nature and that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's all too fluffy bunny.
Oh god, I hate the term fluffy bunny. I was going to bring that up yet, but yeah, just hearing that makes me, like, want to go gnaw on people's heads.
Yeah, anybody who uses it, you're kind of, like, completely misrepresenting your community right then. You're being exclusionary.
I don't 100% agree. Like, I feel that the pagan community, as any community, should have some level of standards. But
Of course it should, but like, what do you think the standard should be?
well, I don't know, a certain level of seriousness about the practice and about the religious beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess I would refer to, well, I mean, probably not use the term fluffy bunny, but if I was going to say somebody was a fluffy bunny pagan, I would basically consider them the equivalent of a C and E Christian.
What's a C&E Christian?
Christian who only goes to church on Christmas and Easter and basically only does it then kind of because they feel like they're supposed to and they don't really think about religion in their everyday life.
Okay.
Like somebody whose heart really isn't in it necessarily. They just are sort of going through the motions, or they're just practicing because it's like fun or cool or something.
Kind of like hardcore atheists. Oh, you're not a real atheist unless you go and tell everyone how stupid they are for. Yeah.
I don't know that they necessarily describe themselves as hardcore, but I mean, but if you're the kind of person that knows how to do spells and does rituals on a regular basis and interacts with the community or whatever, you're not that. I would say that's not a fluffy bunny. Like, you've gone past merely dabbling in the religion.
Yeah. But of course, some pagans will say unless you do certain kind of things, you're not a real pagan.
The thing that really bothers me about the whole fluffy bunny thing is that it mostly is used to apply to people who are kind of ethically straight-laced, shall we say.
Yeah.
That people who feel that it's bad to do, like, say, cursing magic or something get labeled as fluffy bunnies.
I mean, of course it's bad. It's just like, yeah, they're basically called not real pagans for being moral.
Yeah, I don't know that they're called not real pagans. They're just...
Yeah.
And...
Yeah, I bet Satanists get this a lot worse.
I don't really know that much about Satanists.
Yeah.
And this... Okay, so this is what I will say from what I know about Satanists, is that apparently, from what I hear, Satanists don't worship Lucifer.
Yeah, I know. The thing is, they don't worship evil.
So I don't know. Okay. So they're using Satan in Milton's Paradise Lost as a role model. Is that what it is?
Yeah, they're using like Satan as more of a kind of like liberating rebel person against authoritarianism rather than a symbol of evil.
Right.
Which I personally... Yeah, well, let's not get into that. I respect that belief as a Christian. They don't... what I would call the real Satanists, not the ones who just get into it because it's hardcore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's kind of like hipsters versus hardcore right now. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I'm sure you see the same sort of thing in the goth community and other stuff, too. I mean, I've seen that I haven't directly interacted with it, but, like, in the metal community, that there's a lot of people who think that there's people who are fake or posers or something.
Fake girl gamers.
Well, yeah, because they're not hardcore enough. And the thing is that, in order to be, like, real in the metal community, you're supposed to be, what you were saying about rebellion against authority or something.
Mm-hmm.
Except that, like, to me, rebellion against authority doesn't mean, like, rioting and taking drugs and shit.
Yeah.
That is a waste of effort, honestly.
Yeah, me taking drugs is gonna take down society.
I feel that I am a true rebel simply because I insist on living my life the way I want to live it and not in accordance with what society's rules say. And it's not easy, but I don't feel like I have to go around waving a flag about it either.
Flag waving. Kind of like with the atheists, come to think of it. I'm atheist.
Sorry,
I keep bringing this back to atheism.
Do you want to talk about atheism? Should we just let you talk about atheism?
No.
Come on, no. Forneus is going to talk about atheism
No,
now.
I'm not.
Come on, you've mentioned it like a bunch of times. Just do it.
Well, I don't know. It's just like on the internet nowadays, atheism seems to be like the cool religion to have, and if you have it, everybody of a certain group just automatically says you're smarter than everyone else based on something arbitrary like your beliefs.
No, I don't think that's sufficient. You have to insult other religions for that to fly.
Wait, what?
No, I don't think it's enough to just say that you're atheist. You have to, like, say that people who are not atheist are stupid.
Well, yeah, of course. And it's just ridiculous. Most of the scientific men that have existed throughout history have not been atheists.
I'm not sure where you're going with this, dude. This sounds like you're going off on that same track that you go off on when you get pissed about people saying Jesus wasn't a historical figure. Like, I mean, I respect your religion.
Yeah.
And everything. But sometimes I feel... And I understand where you're coming from because you get the poop shoot these days. Totally undeservedly, because most of the people who are poop shooting on Christianity, as I used to do, were being motivated by American Protestantism, which is not you.
Yeah.
But I do feel that you get kind of defensive about it sometimes.
Of course I get defensive, like...
Okay.
Like... I feel like I'm afraid to, like, talk about my beliefs because I won't be taken seriously.
And like I understand that's really rough because you're coming from essentially your own brand of Christianity, kind of.
No, I would call it the original intention of Christianity.
Well, that sounds slightly arrogant, but sure. But yeah, but it's not something that most people these days are aware of or can relate to. Is what I'm saying. So
yeah, it's just American Christianity is so awful. Like, I can kind of understand why everybody hates it if that's the only thing they're ever exposed to.
Well,
but,
hey, at least you've enlightened me, so...
yeah. I just wish people would do more research about other religions before talking about them.
Research? That takes effort.
Yeah.
People are too busy being hardcore about things.
Oh, God. Yeah, I kind of think Protestantism is almost like the hardcore branch of Christianity.
No, it totally is.
It's just like, Christianity isn't hardcore enough. I'm going to go purify it. And get rid of Christmas, because that's not hardcore enough.
No, that's like fun. People having fun is that.
Yeah.
That kind of is the attitude, like... just...
Should we pause this?
I don't know that you could pause it. So we'll just... Alright, so what were we saying about Protestantism being hardcore?
Yeah, basically Protestantism is like the version of that hardcore mentality.
Well, Calvinism is hardcore.
What's Calvin? I don't...
That's like Puritans. Calvinism is the thing that's like believes in predestination, and they're the ones that are like anti-Christmas. And
yeah. Well, I still think Martin Luther, the type of thing that Martin Luther was talking about. Well, sorry, not Martin Luther. What was his name?
Yeah, that's Martin Luther.
Oh, Martin.
The one who started the Reformation?
Yeah.
No, that was Martin Luther, but he still celebrated Christmas.
I know, but still the mentality was just like... Well, no, to be fair, he was acting in response to the corruption in the church.
Yes. Like, it started out with him being, like, pissed about indulgences and all of that stuff.
Which it was a stupid thing. I'm glad that they got rid of that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember what other, like, examples of hardcore... Well...
What?
50 DKP minus.
Yeah.
That's like the ultimate hardcoreness example. If you don't know what we're talking about, go on YouTube and look up Anixia Wipe.
Yeah. Animation.
Yes. Well, there's versions of it that don't have the animation, but yeah.
The animation is so much better.
It's just, it's hilarious, but also sad.
Yeah, so, it's just like, I think, like, I don't know, like, maybe there should be some greater policing of the community to stop voices like this being heard.
No, you're veering dangerously close to censorship. We can't do that. Remember
that's not censorship. That's the normal people not letting the extremists talk for them.
That's different than policing the community and not letting these voices be heard. Basically,
yeah, well, no, that's not what I meant.
Is,
basically, make your own voice be heard.
Yes, we have to drown them out with the voice of reason.
Yeah.
Which is, the thing is that everybody, like, whenever I get frustrated... Okay, so, this is...
Because I think atheists really need to do that because they're letting a bunch of crazy monkeys speak for them. Yes.
Yes, that is true. And I've known atheists who didn't have such extreme views and were very angry about such views, but they never would speak up to...
Yeah, like, they think that people are will just somehow intuit that the extremists don't speak for them.
Okay, so...
Because it's just like me. I don't let all the crazy Christians speak for Christianity.
And I
Like, if
really
I see
admire
a
you for
Christian
that.
being a dick, I go, you're being a dick, you're like, putting Christianity to shame.
I have a similar thing with feminism, actually. So here's the thing that I've kind of had this problem my entire life, and I'm not going to go into the details about my sexual orientation right now because we'll find a podcast that is proper for that. But essentially, let's put it this way. I don't want to sleep around. I'm not that kind of person. The idea of having sex with random strangers or whatever, just not my thing. However, I don't believe that the sole purpose of sex is for procreation. I have no desire to have children. I don't think that anything other than missionary position in the dark is bad, blah, 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 blah. I am very kinky and have been on birth control for most of my life. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
And so this is the thing that I've always struggled with, is it seems like the only two options that I have are religious right, you must wait until marriage and have children and not do weird positions and shit. Or, yeah, screw everything!
Yeah.
And I've always been really, really frustrated by that. And everybody's like, oh, well, it's only because only the extreme people bother to talk about it. And I've always said, that's stupid. You know, that makes me feel like I'm isolated and weird and stuff.
Yeah.
And, yeah. That I feel like I hold a position of extreme moderation.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I agree. Like, I don't want to let, and this is one of the things that, like, I'm really pissed about people getting so, like, insane about Anita Sarkeesian. Because
she's quite moderate.
Yeah. I mean, I don't agree with every single thing she says, but she's not, like, an evil rabid feminist.
Yeah, she's... You know, if she's very, very moderate, I was so shocked. It's just like, how can a moderate feminist exist in these days?
Yeah. Well, you think I'm a moderate feminist, right?
Yeah, but... Well, that's the thing. A lot... Yeah, it's... Everybody, like, uses what other feminists do against Anita Sarkeesian.
Mm-hmm. And that's... Yeah, it's... And actually, I think that that's what she's advocating for as well, is not what many people think, which is censorship, but for voices of moderation to be heard.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, that whole thing is kind of sad, but...
The fact that somebody needs to stand up and say that.
And then that it doesn't work because all of the extremists go crazy. Yeah, that was... Okay, so... Talking about this is the big problem that I have with atheists. Is not all atheists, but
The hardcore atheists, let's call them that.
I have problems with atheists who go around trying to re-educate people.
Because, you know, I've clearly been brainwashed.
Yes, I'm sorry about that. You've been brainwashed by Christianity, and I've been brainwashed by the patriarchy because
and probably paganism too, probably.
Most pagans fall into the screw everything camp. But yeah, no, that's part of the thing. Like, feminists take the attitude that I've been brainwashed because I don't want to screw everything. Like, I've had that drilled into me that that's a bad thing. And so I'm repressing my true desires, which I finally have proof that that's not true. But anyway. But yeah, atheists who try to re-educate people that by, like, telling them that they're stupid to have religious beliefs, or like trying to prove to them that their religious beliefs are false or something. And I tried, like, saying to them one time, like, hey, guys, why can't you live and let live? If other people have religious beliefs and they're not inflicting them on you, they're not hurting you, so why can't you just leave them alone? And they basically were like, because this is the truth and we need to bring the truth to everyone. And I said,
that's exactly what the Christians say.
I'm like, how are you, by believing that you have a monopoly on the truth and that you are somehow, like, have a duty to bring everyone else around to your idea of the truth, how are you actually any different than all these religious groups that you're criticizing?
Those two people, the extreme atheist and the extreme Christian, are exactly the same.
Yeah, they're saying exactly the same.
Because it's kind of like with right and left wing's politics. It kind of goes around in a circle. The more extreme you get, the more closer the two extremes look.
And this is the thing. When I said that, what the guy said to me was, because my version of the truth is actually right.
Yeah.
Which is exactly what the extreme Christian would have said.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like with extreme politics. It goes around in a circle. As you get more and more extreme, they look a lot similar.
I don't really understand that. Could you explain that?
Okay, with left and right-wing politics, normally most people, like, portray it like this. Like, that the extremes are far apart.
No, I understand that, but I would like actual concrete examples.
Fascism and communism doing similar things, like censorship and...
Well, no, but I'm talking about, like, I'm thinking about, like, right-wing and left-wing in modern politics.
Well, I don't know. We don't have an extremes for both in one country at the moment.
Well, okay, so let's look at America and Australia.
Yeah, okay. Australia has extreme left-wing politics.
Right.
Whereas America has extreme right-wing. Let me see. Both sides can't handle money for shit. The left-wing party in Australia can't handle money for shit, and the right-wing party in America can't handle money for shit.
Well, I mean, but that depends on how you define handling money, because...
Puts you in a deficit.
Okay. Yes. But, I think they would both argue that they're putting us in deficit for a worthy cause.
Yeah. With a left wing in Australia blows all the money on something that doesn't work.
Well, and the right wing in America pisses it all away, giving tax cuts to the rich.
Yeah. Well, while the individual, way that they blow all the money away, they're still blowing money away.
I know, but you can't say that, these politics are similar just because they waste money.
Yeah.
That's too broad.
Well, what they end up doing to normal people ends up being the same. Kind of like how the extremists to normal people both look the same.
I'm not seeing this.
Whatever.
I'm not seeing it.
Extremism is bad.
Yes.
It's bad, okay?
Yes. But, yeah, I'm not... Just because extremism is all bad doesn't necessarily mean that extremism is all...
Well, I think extremism comes from the same kind of person. It doesn't matter if he's an atheist or a Christian.
Well, so the thing is that what we've been talking about here with hardcore is that's similar with all of that is that it's exclusionary. But I don't think that's the case with extreme politics.
It's exclusionary to the other side. You know, we won't talk with you. You're not even...
No, yeah. I mean, I would say that maybe extreme right-wing politics is exclusionary because it's only for the wealthy, but I'm not sure how extreme left-wing politics is exclusionary.
I don't know.
But I mean, if we're not talking about politics, but we're talking about basically any other form of extremism, it is exclusionary. That is a common thing that it has.
Yeah, it's funny. I get told by both the extreme Christians and the extreme atheists that, oh, if I don't hate gay people, then I'm not a real Christian.
Uh-huh.
So the Christians are being an asshole on this side, but then the extreme atheists are also defining Christianity based on the extremists on the other side.
Well, that's my same thing with feminism, that it's like, well, if you don't sleep around, you've been brainwashed by the patriarchy.
Yeah. We're letting the extremists define the other side based on the extremists of that side.
Mm-hmm. And that's, I mean, our society is really into labels. That's a thing.
Yeah, no, I fucking hate labels.
And this promotes the whole extremism thing. That, so I
just don't label yourself, guys. Say I am me and these are my beliefs. Don't I often sometimes don't even call myself Catholic. I generally try to be as broad as possible. Like, I am Christian. I am religious.
Mm-hmm.
I have religious things. I think things.
I mean, and the thing is that this is not an uncommon experience, because I remember I was at, we were at a rehearsal / costume making party for this burlesque show I was in, and so it was this group of very progressive, free-thinking women, and we were all sitting around chatting, and someone said the phrase, "I'm not a feminist, but I support women's rights," sort of thing, and then we all just started talking about that, and because I went through a phase where I said that too. And we all started talking about how we, had discomforts with the way feminism had been defined.
Yeah.
And while we all really saw ourselves as feminists, we just didn't like the really narrow definition. And, so I was talking about how eventually I came to the conclusion that I was gonna call myself a feminist anyway and just not accept that specific definition of it.
It's kind of like people have made up a new term which is egalitarianism or something like that.
I don't know.
And it's just like, oh yeah, who wants to take bets until that term is completely fucked up the arse and it becomes something awful?
I have no idea. But well, this is another thing, I've decided to take on and start the label of calling myself a gamer now. But there's a lot of, I go around in fear of being labeled a fake gamer girl.
I don't know, I think the entire label of gamer is completely stupid in its beginnings. Like, you read books a lot. Mm-hmm. You're not called, a booker.
Well, I use the term more broadly to refer to the whole culture.
And that's the thing. Calling yourself a gamer makes playing games kind of exclusionary. Unlike books, it's just like you have to be a gamer to play games.
No,
whereas
you don't have to be a gamer to play games.
Everybody reads books to a degree.
Well, these days everybody plays games to a degree.
Yeah.
To me, I think it's entirely a thing of degree. That the reason I call myself a gamer is because it's been part of my identity my entire life. Like, I've played video games since the age of 3. I did it before it was something that everybody did. Like, and I've done it for 30 years at this point. And it's one of my favorite activities, the fact that I have a Let's Play channel. Like, it's something that I invest a lot in. And that's why I call myself a gamer. Like, I also call myself a student of literature because of how much I read. I wouldn't call everybody who reads a book that. Because for some people, like, it's something they do occasionally. It's not a big hobby of theirs.
So would you call people who, say, read a lot of fantasy stuff, like people who read Game of Thrones a lot or that kind of stuff, would you call them a student of literature?
I don't know. I mean, I might call them members of the sci-fi fantasy community, which I also consider myself to be.
So yeah, titles are bad.
I'm thinking that maybe this obsession with titles is linked into our obsession with social media, maybe?
Oh no, there's been an obsession with, like, titles long before that, I think. I don't know.
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying, like, it's so prevalent these days because every time you go on a social media site, you have to, like, list your sexual orientation, you have to list all your interests, you have to,
Maybe.
I don't know. That always annoys the shit out of me.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts that you have on this?
Titles are bad.
I said other thoughts.
I don't know. I'm thinking. Awkward silences.
No, I mean, okay, so here's what I'm thinking is that I feel like, saying that you belong to a group or something, that's not so bad. What's really bad is putting down people who don't belong to that group or whatever. Like having, like, for instance, having a label like Fluffy Bunny that you apply to people who are not part of your group.
Yeah. Barbarian.
That and this is part of the fake gamer girl thing, like, having a derogatory title that you apply to people who are not who you deem not worthy of you, or this is one of the ones that always gets me, where when gay people go around talking about how bisexual people don't exist.
Oh god. Yeah. I really want to strangle them and hold them to their face. And do you remember what things were like 30 years ago?
Well, probably a lot of them don't because they weren't born then yet. But
yeah.
But yeah, that's the thing. It's like I don't begrudge you and nobody should begrudge you the right to be in that group of yours. But, why deny somebody else the right to be in their group that makes them comfortable?
Yeah.
And that's the whole thing about, religious people or non-religious people, in the case of atheists, going around trying to pressure everybody.
No, I would say atheism is a religion.
I'm not gonna quite go that far, but...
What? No, saying that God does not exist without any evidence is just as valid as saying God.
Get so much. They have reams and reams of what they consider evidence that they're going to flood my channel with now.
What do you mean? What evidence? There's no evidence that God does not exist.
Everyone, please understand that it is Forneus saying this.
Yeah,
Please
flood my channel instead.
Go post this shit on his
I'll be-
channel.
So as I was saying before you interrupted me, saying that God does not exist without evidence is just as valid as saying God does exist without evidence.
Yes, but they think that they have evidence, so yeah.
Well, I have a book. A book that was written by a bunch of different people. There's a lot of sources.
No. How like much have you talked to like actual atheists who in person?
In person? None.
Oh, well, you have no idea then.
But yeah. Like, there's no hard evidence one way or the other.
Again, if you have a problem with this, please post it on his channel. But yeah, it's just like, well, you know, respect other people's right to their beliefs as well, and stop, like, crapping on them. You know, I don't mind that people have groups. What I mind is that they go around and shit on other people who, either people who aren't in their group, or they even shit on people's, like, right to have another group, like saying all other religions are false, or like bisexuals don't exist or something.
Yeah.
But just, I like my identity, and I, you know, don't like it when people try to shit on it, and so why would I shit on somebody else's identity? What?
Well, why indeed? It's because, you know, it's not that nobody wants to be oppressed, it's that everyone wants to be the oppressor.
I don't.
Well, yeah. I mean, most people.
Okay, the only people who I want to oppress are people who oppress other people.
But of course, all Christians oppress other people.
No, they don't. I used to think that, but since I met you, I realized that's not true.
Yeah.
Though many Christians would consider you to not be a Christian, but yeah.
Why? Many Protestants.
Well, because of your lack of acceptance of the Bible as 100% literal truth in every way, shape, and form.
Yeah, that's a very Protestant view.
Yes.
I mean, it could be all literally true for all I know. Or, you know, it could be based on the biases of the people at the time.
Mm-hmm. Which is what you're assuming because you...
Oh no, for all I know it could be absolutely true. And
Well, yeah, but you don't believe, like, for instance, that being gay will make you go to hell.
No, of course not.
Well, some people argue that it says that in the Bible.
Yeah, it says that because one guy wrote that.
That's you saying that the Bible isn't the 100% literal truth.
No, I believe that guy totally thought that.
You know what I mean. You stop intentionally being dumb.
I'm not. Like, what I know, it is fact, is that it was not written by God. It was written by people.
Well, yeah, that is something that many Christians would feel that you're a heretic for.
Yeah, many Protestants.
I don't know how Catholics genuinely feel about the Bible. Like,
I'm sure there's some that think that, but...
I mean, because here, I know about medieval Catholicism, which, sadly, I'm learning is very different than modern Catholicism. And other than that, I know, in terms of modern Catholicism, I only know the boogeyman picture that the Protestants paint of it.
Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous.
So I can't really judge by that, but yeah, that's a very unusual belief, at least in my experience, for Christians.
Yeah.
But yeah, we should probably wrap this up because we're about to hit
Okay.
an hour, I think. So yeah, extremism and hardcoreness is exclusionary and bad, and
It's
yeah,
bad.
yes. So next time we come up with an issue that we want to chat about, we'll be back. So until then, bye.
Bye.